Welcome back to Hamilton Life, everyone. Homeopathy is what we're talking about. So, Tyler, you've been in many times and you've sort of brought this into our discussions about using a homeopathy option.
Yes.
But we've never really delved right into what exactly it is.
Exactly. So it's its own little system of health, just like you've got botanical medicine, you've got acupuncture, you've got nutrition. Homeopathy is a very specific system developed hundreds of years ago in Germany. And it works on the principle, which is really strange to people when I start explaining it, which is what I'm about to do, of like cures like. That's the basic principle of homeopathy. So what I mean by that, a good example that everyone can understand. So everything is in Latin. So this is coffea cruda, which is coffee bean, basically.
Okay.
So if you think of what would happen if you drank like 10 cups of coffee.
It could be crazy.
Yeah, you'd be insomnia, restlessness, anxiety, tremors, all those types of things. Now, if you took a homeopathic preparation of coffee, so by that I mean, as we'll do a demo in a second, but homeopathic preparation is an extremely sequential dilutions. So basically, what happens is you would take coffee bean and you would dilute it sequentially. And if you were to give that diluted version of coffee to somebody with insomnia, with restlessness, with tremors, it would actually negate those symptoms.
Really?
So you're taking something that would cause those symptoms, diluting it down, and then giving it back to a person with that matching set of symptoms, and it cancels them out.
Which is a pretty cool concept when you think about it.
It's very systematic, yes.
Yeah, and it kind of does make sense when you think of it in a logical way.
It's almost like how we've got accustomed to thinking about vaccines that way. You're taking something that would cause those symptoms, diluting it essentially, and then giving it back to somebody. The problem with homeopathy is there's a lot of issues as to how it works. The details aren't really worked out. There's a lot of theories as to how it works, and that's its main Achilles heel in terms of just wide acceptance. And we'll talk about that when we do some dilutions. There is a book that all of homeopathy, the entire knowledge base is basically contained in something called the Materia Medica. So all those symptoms, the observations that people have made with respect to what happens when you take belladonna, which is deadly nightshade. Well, you get really high fevers when you ingest the plant. So if you have really high fevers, you take belladonna homeopathic. Apis mellifica, which is bee venom. So great for bee stings, that type of thing.
If you
had a bee sting,
or an allergy towards bees, could something like that help help it?
Yeah. And that's where having a homeopath or somebody that can sort of figure out exactly what to do, because with bites, there's often a combination of things that people will do. Same with rust tox, which is a rust toxicodendron, which is poison ivy. So the idea is basically like cures like. Now, so I'll go into how these things are actually produced.
Okay.
So they use a system called sequential dilution. So we're going to make our own what we call 4C Apis mellifica, or sorry, Allium cepa.
How do you remember all these names?
Which is onion. It's been doing it a long time.
That's just onion.
So
that's
onion,
a fancy
basically.
word for onion.
So if you think about it, what is onion? What's one of the things that you suffer when you chop onions?
You cry.
You get runny nose,
your
burning eyes.
Your nose is drippy.
So if you had those symptoms, so say things like allergic rhinitis, or you had allergies or a cold, you could use something like this to cancel those symptoms.
So how would you make that?
So basically, what we have here is what they call mother tincture. So this is a crude version. It's chopped onions in water. You can also use ethanol. So a homeopath would probably use ethanol.
Okay.
And what you do, so they call this the mother tincture. So to make it, what you do is you take one drop, like literally one drop. Yep. And that's 100 parts base. And we're putting one drop of this into 100 parts base. And we take this, and you can smell that wonderful onion smell.
I can.
And we succuss it. This is called succussion, which is this, or
that's strong.
Banging it against things. And what that produces is what they call 1C potency, so 1 part per 99 parts base. So 1 part onion, 99 parts base.
Okay.
Then we take one drop of this. I won't do it because it takes time.
And then into this.
And into this.
And then one drop of this into this.
And one drop into that. And every time you do this, it becomes so it's a 1C, so 1 part per 100, and then 1 part per 10,000, and it's logarithmic. Every time you do it, you're adding 2 zeros to the number of dilution.
And then what is it that you're actually going to take after all of this?
So that's the thing, is the dilution that somebody takes is really dependent on what they're treating and the homeopath that's working with them. Most modern homeopaths don't go past 12C. So what that is basically, if I had 12 bottles, you wouldn't dilute any further than 12 bottles. Once you start getting into bottle 13, bottle 14, bottle 15, you'd run into some physical chemistry problems, which is you've diluted it so much at that point that the chances of finding a single trace of onion in 13 bottles is it would be like pinching salt into the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
So like looking for a piece of
Good
salt.
luck there, right?
So it becomes really, really tricky. So because of those reasons, usually the dilution sort of stops at 12. Now, there are a lot of classic homeopaths that use 30C, 200C, like 1M, which is like 1 million dilutions done with machines, basically. And you can see the problem with diluting way past what is considered the end stage of dilution.
Yeah.
But so that's the main problem with widespread acceptance. Now the advantages, as you can imagine, with this heavy dilution process is that in terms of safety, if you're dealing with infants, if you're dealing with pregnancy, pregnant women, lactating women, seniors who are on whole piles of medication, you don't want to contraindicate anything or cause any toxicity.
Right. So this is a natural option way to do it. Very safe.
Extremely safe. And you can also deal with health conditions that there is no suitable alternative for.
Right.
Like
and these are all homeopathy
combinations
that you can actually purchase. So where do you go if you're interested in something like this?
So some naturopaths practice homeopathy. You can also go to a homeopath, which is a specific practitioner of homeopathy. Most health food stores nowadays carry homeopathy, and it, just like the earlier presentation from CHFA, it's very highly controlled. So the government controls what's allowed to be diluted. You can imagine a lot of substances are really poisonous if they're not diluted properly. So there's a lot of controls.
Don't mess with it. Make sure you go to the right person that can help guide you along.
You can make your own onion, but don't make your own strychnine.
There we go. Very good, Tyler. That was a great way to introduce people into what homeopathy is all about, and appreciate it. And if you've got questions, they can always check out Full Circle Healthcare and Supplements up at 131 Upper Centennial Parkway in Stony Creek. Go to fullcirclehealthcare.ca for more information. I just find that stuff so fascinating, and when you delve into these different things, you just never know what you're going to learn, and you never know what will actually help you. Like I always say to people, if you need help with something and nothing else is working, try something new, as long as it's safe, right, Claudette?
Yes, if you do the same thing all the time, you'll always get the same results.
Yeah, and